guys. We talked about Jesus, the greatest steward, and we talked about our contacts, okay? And last time I talked to you guys, there's like a process. But the first thing was begin to connect with people, or remember people's names, or like people that you've met with in the past or worked with. And I said come up with around 200 contacts. And these could be anybody. These could be people you just know their first name. You don't need to know much about them. You don't need to, they don't even necessarily need to be believers. I had a friend of mine who was Jewish. We used to go to high school together, and he gave me finances and partnered with me in ministry. So they don't necessarily have to be believers. But these are people you may have worked with in the past, you've built rapport with in the past. And so yeah, I talked about just beginning to get your mind open about reaching out to different people. So I did this. There's around 300 people that I found on a list. And I had just a spreadsheet of okay, 300 contacts. I don't know much about them, but I want them to start getting connected. How can I get them into the loop of what I'm doing? So one thing that I do is I have a monthly kind of newsletter that I send to people by, hey, here's what's happening this month. Here's what the Lord is doing in my life and ministry and how you guys are a part. And so what I did was I just started sending text messages to all 300 people saying, hey, this is Matthew Peruccio. We worked 5 years ago together. I just told them, do you remember? We worked 5 years ago together, and we were teaching teenagers, or I just recalled what we did in the past. Oh yeah, that was a fun experience. I would counsel teenagers as a camper, like a counselor at ATC 4 years ago, and a lot of those guys are in college now. So I just reconnected with them after 4 years. How you doing? What's God doing in your life? That they're telling me these crazy stories. One of my friends is hey, I'm helping opening up this ministry for people who are coming out of brothels in Florida. Great. I get to hear other people's story, which is you want to have ears open to hear that instead of just thinking, this is just a potential money maker. This is me opening up my life to other people's stories again and reconnecting with them, see what God is doing. And that's one thing that I do enjoy. I had one friend who, one of my people I used to counsel in high school, he was kind of having a hard time in college, and so I got to, through this experience of doing partnership development, I got to reconnect and just pray for him. So I encourage you guys to do that. So again, I would really encourage you guys to have 200 contacts and start moving forward in that process. It took me around a month to just start going through them all. And then what I always invited them to do, you don't have to do this, but I'm hey, do you want to stay in the loop with what God is doing in my life and ministry? Would you like to receive some monthly updates? And usually they're yeah, great. Sometimes they're I don't know. And then some people are I don't know where you're going with this. Some people are kind of I don't know what you're trying to do. I'm well, I'm just I want to see if you're I want to connect with you. I want to see what the Lord is doing in your life, and maybe in the future the Lord may lead us together and more connected in worship and prayer. But there's no obligation. So you can totally let them know there's no obligation of this. There's no money involved. I just want you to stay involved and connected and pray. I have partners who don't give financially, but they give me books in the mail. Last week, I had a partner give me a book in the mail. And I was I really want you to read this book. It's really helpful. I'm nah. I don't even know if I like this book, so I read it. Super good. It was actually I was this is a prosperity gospel book, this guy, I don't know. And then I read it, and everybody under the age of 25 needs to read this book. It's so good for people who just need wisdom like me. So I have different partners, and just try to let them stay connected in any way possible. I have one old lady who doesn't have email, so we just write letters back and forth. I was hi Barbara, how you doing? And she's she rips a page out of her book. She's I want you to read this excerpt from this book. Just even I'm great. So it was from Dutch Sheets, so we read it, and then I wrote a letter back saying, hey, thank you for sharing this. She's she would tell me information and have you ever tried doing grant money or different kinds of things? So I always write back. So partnership comes in more ways than just money, actually. Even though that's the one we all like. It's all our favorite one. But at the same time, I love that my friends are still connected. They still I'm part of the story. They get this, when they give me a book, they feel they're part of the story of what God is doing in my life. And so, yeah, I just encourage you, it may come differently than you think. People may want to be in part differently than you may suppose. And so, I have some people who help me with my whole printing of all my newsletters. So I have an editor who helps edit my stuff. So there's different ways that people jump in, so I don't have to like spend 3 hours sealing all the envelopes, writing all the things down. But it's like, oh, I'll print them out for you and I'll send them out for you. I'm like, I'll do it, and they'll do it every 3 months, and then I'll do one by myself so I can write a little handwritten letter to each person. So just be encouraged that, if they say no, it may not mean no. They still want to be partners in one way or another. So just be encouraged by that. So contacts, super important. They can be all varieties of life. Accountant, advertising agencies. I had a real estate company partner with me for a while because I had a real estate agent that was partnering with me in ministry, and their organization matched every dollar they gave. So I was like, yes, that sounds awesome. I'm like, now hopefully your company gets blessed by that. But so that's that. Contacts, super important, and it's this opportunity to love people, to like just enjoy people's lives and what God is doing in it. So yeah, there's that. And then we're going to move to paragraph number 3, the letter. Okay? Once you've created a list of people, the next thing is to write a letter. This letter should quickly summarize what the Lord is doing in your life and what the conviction you have, and invite people into that conviction through further conversation and an appointment. Very important. It's not will you give, but will you pray? Will you pray and consider giving financially to me, and I'll follow up with you. We want them to feel honored in every step of the process. Because if you just say, just send a letter and not respond back, it makes them feel like they just want my finances. They don't actually want a real partnership or relationship. So I sent you my personal one recently that I wrote. I'm printing them out actually this week to get ready for a little campaign that I'm doing. So I have another one. Aaron Frazee wrote it. So I sent it recently, the template. That's one more for short-term kind of ministry trips. Say I'm going to a location like Amsterdam, Ukraine. That's more palatable for that kind of stuff. This is more for everything, my whole life. So so I'll tell you a little bit. I'll read it to you guys, and then I'll share why I wrote it in this way, so you guys can kind of get an understanding, okay? Dear such and such, or dear blank. Over 10 years ago, my life completely changed when God sowed an eternal seed of the nations singing unceasing glory to God. Since then, I've been on a journey of solidifying the conviction that prayer and worship are the most important things needed in the life of the church. After going to school for 4 years at the International House of Prayer University for worship and music education, I left the comforts of home so that the far-reaching corners of the islands of Asia would sing to the Lord a new song. Now I find myself back in the United States with an incredible opportunity to train and equip the nations of the earth. This summer, from June 7th to August 7th, I have the amazing opportunity to teach at the 111 Global Worship Intensives. My team and I will be traveling to Barbados, Amsterdam, and Kiev to equip believers in Bible, prayer, music, and worship to fuel their relationship with God and zeal for missions. On top of this, in September, I will be spearheading an online resource center with 4 enrichment courses, as well as leading a training school in Kansas City. While God has opened this opportunity for me to teach in the nations, I am excited to give you the opportunity to partner with me and my team in a couple of ways. First, I invite you to pray for us, that God will prepare us and bless our efforts as we minister in Barbados, Amsterdam, and Kiev. Secondly, I'd like to invite you to partner financially in this mission. I need to raise a financial partnership team to enable me to minister in these locations this summer, as well as equip the nations with online resources. Would you take some time to ask the Lord about linking arms with me to see the gospel spread through night and day prayer? I will be contacting you soon once you have time to pray. I look forward to partnering with you and the Lord as worship fills the earth. Okay? So, yes?
Would you send this letter, do you send this to people you've already made contact with, or is this people that maybe you haven't quite made contact, or like you haven't made contact about finances?
Yeah. That's a good question. Do you have their contact? Do you have their mailing address?
Yeah.
Then I think you're fine. You don't necessarily need to reach out immediately. You can just kind of send a letter. Sometimes it's nice to kind of soften the ground before. Send them it's kind of like sending a gift. Kind of before you kind of talk about finances, send a gift. Like, hey, how you doing? I just want to catch up and see how you are, what's God doing in your life. But you don't necessarily need to do that, because I haven't sometimes. Like family members specifically, like uncles and aunts I've sent without kind of telling them before what I was doing. But a lot of times my mom would talk with them, oh, my son's a missionary and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, she's a great evangelist to my family. So I guess they kind of know, they may know what you're doing if they remember like what you were doing before you left. They may keep it in your memory. But people probably who you never met before, there are other ways to do it as well. But sometimes, maybe somebody you've met a long time ago and reconnect is sometimes nice. So, okay. So for the letter, what I do is I recap first paragraph or two, what God is doing now, or what He has done recently. So what He's doing now, where I am recently in the Lord, and then you kind of throw them the vision, the conviction of what you're about to do in the future. So I'm going to schools this summer. So I did kind of two things. I did here's what my team is doing this summer, and here's what I'm doing after that. Here's how I'm going to consistently. So I'm showing them that this is more than just a one-time thing. This is I'm in it for the long haul right now. So, but for you guys, you can just say it depends on what you're shooting for. If you want to just shoot for being fully funded for this trip, you can do that. But I also want you guys to sell people on your conviction, not just the need. Many people don't give because of need. They give because they see the conviction on the inside of you guys. There's a fire on the inside of you guys. Like, I love 9-day prayer. I will spend the rest of my days there, like, because I want to, and I want to, like, the conviction of the passion of what you found, what you encountered the Lord in that place will spark life into other people. I said this last time. First time I had a first partnership development meeting ever. I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going terrible. And so I sit down, about to have this conversation. The girl says, I may have cancer. I don't know. I have a doctor's appointment this weekend. And I'm like, well, let's just pray for you. And she had clinical depression at this point, too. So I pray for her. She doesn't have cancer, which is awesome. And then she invites all of her friends to do like a small group with me at her work. And she works at like an endodontics place, the places where they get like root canals. So during lunch hour, I'm sitting, the whole bunch of girl nurses. And I'm just like, walking, hi, my name's Matthew. Very awkward, but you just got to overcome that and just believe the vision that you have is from the Lord, and God has called you on assignment, and people will partner with you. So ever since then, I always meet up with this lady, and she can't always give, but she always invites all of her friends to come and do something together. So I just want to encourage you about that. So the Lord's going to give you grace when you have these face-to-face meetings specifically. So, all right. Do you have any questions about the letter? Thoughts, concerns, terrors? That's okay. The Lord will overcome those too. And I want you to tweak it, make it your own. Obviously, don't just put in everything that's in there. Obviously, there's what online resourcing. I'm not. That's make sure it's palatable for what you're doing, and it doesn't need to say, 111 Global, and this is for even people who are, maybe you're not going to do that. You have the tools to do ministry, to raise people up to be on your partnership team.
I noticed in your letter, you don't say anything about like what 111 Global is.
Yes.
And I know Rob Parker kind of like recommends, hey, include a little paragraph about IHOP-KC or 111 Global or whatever, like so that people get know the ministry that you're giving to and whatever. Would you recommend doing that or?
Yeah, I would recommend doing that. I would say to help them get introduced to, this is not just me doing this. This is something that's a bigger picture, bigger story. And what you could do is say I ran out of room and I wasn't able to do that. You can actually meet them in person and tell them more about, this is my organization. Like, this is the organization I work for. But if you give them like a short summary of 111 Global and what we're doing, it gives them a little more confidence that this is just not one person's idea. This is a group of people who are saying yes to it. And in Aaron's letter, they have that. So I actually would encourage you to kind of keep that part, that snippet in, and put it in yours. And I believe it's on the email list, the original one. I don't know if I have it. I kind of tweaked it up, so I don't know if I have your template still.
Oh.
Yeah. If so, could you send it back to me and I can send it to him again?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Great. Any other thoughts about the letter?
You didn't ever, and this is just something that I'm curious about. You never mentioned a specific amount that you were trying to raise.
Yeah.
Would you suggest that or no?
I think there's pros and cons sometimes. I would suggest it. I was shooting for monthly partnership
Okay.
first. So that was my first, I want them to be more than just simply giving a one-time amount. I wanted them to be more monthly, so I didn't want them to focus necessarily on the finances.
Mm-hmm.
But if I end up with a one-on-one meeting with them, I would tell more about, hey, I need, this is here. There are several ways for you to partner with me. One of them is financial monthly partnership. Another one is there's special giving. So there's like big events that are happening. I'd love for you to be a part of that. One of the things is I need to raise such and such amount to do these trips. I need to raise up several $1,000 to do these trips. Will you partner with me? So I wanted to kind of like see them in person to ask that kind of question. But you can, I would say, if you're just doing it for like a specific short-term project, you can do that, totally. Not a problem at all. I was kind of debating that when I was writing it. I'm like, you could write it and keep it in there, but I wanted to go more for primarily monthly for me. I want them to be connected on a monthly basis. I feel more connected with my partners when they're more monthly involved. But if they can't, I'll be like, hey, well, there's another way you can be a part. I have an opportunity to go to these schools. They know about the schools. They just don't know exactly maybe the financial amount. But they may have a number already. They're already thinking about. So I guess you can just wrestle with that, how you want to write it out. I believe in Aaron's letter, the specific number is given. So. Okay. Good. All right. So I'm also going to give you like a process of how you would do this the best way possible. So week 1, you send the letters, okay? This is group A. Okay? We'll just do, I don't know how many we'll do. Let's just say. Okay. So you have that. And the next thing you do is postcard, okay? So you send a letter in the mail to them, and then later up they just say, I want to connect with you soon, but one way you connect with them before your face-to-face conversation is through a postcard. It's basically like a little PS, like a postscript thing. The thing that you may write in your letter is like a little, like, hey, I would love for you to consider partnering with me. I look forward to talking to you soon. You write that kind of in your postcard. And normally it's like a simple way to connect with them about what you just wrote about and send a short hello, telling them that you're going to connect with them soon, and you'll be meeting up with them. So that's what I would do. Normally there's like a picture of yourself on there. Doesn't necessarily have to be, but a picture of yourself is probably the most ideal. What the missions organization you're working with, stuff like that. So I have like a ton. Mine just came in yesterday, and they're pretty simple, but you'd be surprised. It doesn't have to be super elaborate what you're creating. It just needs to have your face, some contact information, and a little tagline about like what you're doing, what you love to do. So that'll be here. So week 2, you send postcards to. Wait, how does it work? Make sure I do it correctly. Oh yeah. So these groups are like different amounts of people that you're going to be contacting every week. Because you did this all at once, you're going to be totally overwhelmed connecting with them. You know, say you had like 100 people, if you send out 100 letters, it's kind of overwhelming. So, we recommend, I'm going to say 8 to 15 letters a week. So 8 people or 15, it's a good number of amounts. So, the first week, you're just sending out letters. Second week, you're going to do, you're going to send 8 to 15 letters to a new group of people, and then you're going to send postcards to group A. So all kind of like sequential phases. So there's a way that you can stay connected with each person. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, next thing is a phone call, the scariest thing of all. All right, one thing actually, I think this is pretty cool about partnership development, is you don't actually have to be in the location until 4 weeks in. You can prepare a whole month beforehand. So say school gets out May 12th, you could start mid-April sending your letters out. So that way when you jump back home, you're not waiting a month to reconnect with people. You're instantly in the game. You already have like a meeting the next day you're back in town. That way it's like boom, boom, boom. It's just planning. You know, that's one thing. Holy Spirit is a great planner, obviously, but we always want to have like a plan, like to move from step A to step B, have everything covered. It like helps us. So, send letters is good. So, phone call. It's not a text message. It's a phone call. That's a really important thing to say. So, what you do is you dress up like you're about to have an interview. Usually, so I make a nice shirt. You know, like for me, it'd be like slacks, nice shirt. Pray, Holy Spirit, help me, please. Have a run sheet of like what I'll say. Hello, is such and such person here? Are they busy? I'd love to connect with them. If they're busy, just say, okay, I'll reconnect with you later, no problem. Once they get on the phone, it's like, hi, good to see you. Catch up for like a minute or so, and then you say, hey, did you happen to read my letter that I sent to you? And they're like, oh, you know, if they say like, oh, what letter? Not the letter I sent to you around 2 weeks ago. It's like, oh, maybe it's in the mail, or my wife got it, but I haven't read it yet. I'm like, well, I really encourage you to read it. Because explaining the whole thing again is like explaining to them for the first time. So if they have like 2 modes of communication, you have the letter, the postcard, and then finally you talking to them face to face, they're starting to get an understanding of what you're doing. And it's not just like a one-time telemarketer thing. This is the thing where it's like, I want to connect with you deliberately. I really want to see how you're doing. I want to see if we can sit down and share something together. We can partner with God to rock the nations. You know, and I honor your opinion. I honor the desires of your heart. And the Lord leads us together in this season. Praise the Lord. Like, I'm really excited for that. So yeah, that's kind of like the run sheet. Be like, hello, such and such person there. Because you'd be surprised how many times like kids or like teenagers sound like their dads. It was like, oh, wrong person. You know, you're talking to them for a little bit. Oh, let me get you to my dad. It's like, oh man, I should have asked if that was them. You know, so sometimes you get so nervous you forget that. If this is even the person I'm supposed to be calling. So and then you say, hey, did you read my letter? If they did read my letter, it's like, hey, well, I'd love to connect with you and schedule a time where we can just meet up and I can share more about what God is doing in my life. And then maybe like, great, I'd love that. Or if they say, I can't right now, I'm really busy. You just kind of like walk them through what that means. Or like, if they're busy, maybe we can schedule a time during their lunch break, do whatever it takes to meet up with them. But if they just can't right now in the season, which I've had several times, you're just like, okay, no problem. Like, but I'm really glad. Some people might say I just can't give right now, and that's fine. You just pray for them, and you kind of end it there. But you keep them connected, though, after. I got people who didn't give for like 3 years, and now they're my monthly partners. But I've pursued them for 3 years. because they never gave me like a really good answer yet. And so I would just like meet up with them and just share, and finally like, yeah, we want to do this. And so 3 years later, it kind of happened. Amber, do you have a question? You were raising your hand, I thought. Or are you just thinking?
Oh, no, I was just thinking.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. So yeah, so those are some ways that having a run sheet is super helpful. So when you get nervous, also like having like each person's name, because sometimes you call them and you're like, I forgot who I'm calling. I got so nervous, you know. I know these things because I went through those. And so having like a ruler or something where you can kind of like scroll down their names, you know, hi, is Aaron there? Or like having something to help you out just in case you forget is good. So that the phone call leads to an appointment. Okay? So you can even do this before you leave. If you're going back home or something, you could do this whole part beforehand. So that when you can step in, 3 days in, you already have an appointment with, the next day you come and you're already having an appointment with somebody. And this is where ministry gets exciting, because now you get to like pray for them. You get to love on these people. You know, you get to hear their story, what they're going through in their life, like struggles, concerns, like things like that. And also like you share the vision. And they have one guy who's like, Matt, it's time for you to leave One Lemon Global. It's not for you. You need to go. And I shared the vision, like, why did I ever think that? You're totally made for this. This is after like an hour meeting. The complete transformation. Can I like be your consultant? He's like asking like join the organization. I'm like, I don't know how fickle you are, or how the Lord moved to convince you, because I'm not that good of a speaker, but I have conviction for what I do. And like in a 2-hour meeting, they're like super excited. I call them all the time, like, yeah, this would be the best thing for you, Matt, to connect with these people. And now he's kind of like a consultant, but before he did not. He like was trying to persuade me to stop, to not join. So, but I laughed because I know this person, and I just shared the vision again, and I knew God. I knew like I love doing this, and the person got it. He's like, wow, this is amazing what you're doing. I want to be your consultant. I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but let's make that happen. Basically, I love this guy, and so what I'll probably do is I'm going to make him part of my home front. So he would be like helping me in Connecticut, reach out to people, share stuff with people. Like if I share a post on Facebook, I want him to like share it with all his friends. If I ever come back to Connecticut, I want him to be the first person I talk to for small groups. Anybody that's like really excited like that, I'm like, yeah, well, I want you to be involved in any way possible. You know, he's about to have a kid, so he couldn't give financially, but he's going to join. Like he's going to like help me out in some ways in the future. So yeah, so this is that. So appointments. This one is phone call, and this is postcard, and then send letters. So say you're on the ground, on field, maybe showing to these people, because this is the mission field, just so you know. This is not different than what you're going to do in Ukraine. You're actually encouraging people to step into the mission field and encouraging them. So you can do the first like 3 weeks out of town, and the last like 4, you just are serving there, and you don't have to be there super long. You can kind of make it, schedule these meetings and appointments, and in a month's time you can have more than enough than you need. I pray that you guys would be filthy rich. Amen. More than enough. Because I had a Catholic priest give me $500 one time. I was just like, hi, my name's Matt. I'd love to share vision. This is cold turkey. Didn't even know the guy. I just shook his hand. Hey, I would like, I'm like 21. No, I was 20. And I was like, hey, I'd love to like meet up with you and like share what God is doing in the nations of the earth. Would you be willing to do that? I was like, yeah, I would love that. So I sat down with him, one conversation. He's like, yeah, I have a discretionary fund of $500. Yeah, let's give it to you. Not only that, let's do like a mass, like a special chapel service, and you get to like sing and like lead worship to a whole bunch of Catholics. I'm like, great. Well, what hymn we're gonna do? Because he's like, I'll play guitar with you. This is the priest. The priest's like, I'll play guitar. I'm like, first of all, I'm like, I didn't know that you could play guitar in Catholic Church. But he was. We did Isaiah 42. We sang a hymn about Isaiah 42. Sing a new song unto the Lord. Let a song be heard from mountains high. It's cool. I was like, there's no way that this happened by accident. This is like so real. This is like the vision of why we're doing 111 Global, and we're doing Isaiah 42, you know. So that was fun. So you have no idea. Go to churches. One time I was home and I said, I'm going to go to every church in my hometown. Some of them were weird, but I loved them. Like Eastern Orthodox, I went to them and shook my hand. Hi, my name is Matthew. I knew nothing about Eastern Orthodox. The icons and all these pictures and stuff. He was like gave me a tour of the whole church. I'm like, yeah, whoa, that's a statue of Paul. Yeah, like in the church. And so, after I shared my vision, and some of them said yes. Some of them were like disagreeing and having arguments with me. Like, I don't believe that Noah's Ark was actually a real thing. And it's like, oh, well, I'll give you $400 though. I'm like, they believed in what God was doing. I'm like, well, one thing we can agree on is we both love Jesus. We believe that he needs to be proclaimed to the ends of the earth. I don't care if you, I do care that that's a problem, that you don't believe it's a real thing. But at least we can agree on two things. Jesus is the Son of God, and he needs to be proclaimed to the ends of the earth. Will you help me do that? And I said, yeah. So, appointment, you can do this anywhere. It's probably better to do it like at a place where it's not as loud. You don't hurt your voice. Have that happen. I've had 4 meetings in one day. That's when you're kind of moving around, making sure everything's organized for you. And I usually do is I have an iPad, I kind of share a short video that I make about what God is doing in the nations. And then I kind of share 111 Global, what I'm doing, how I'm going to be a part, and asking them, at this point, I don't ask them, will you consider? I just say, will you partner with me in this vision? Because I've asked them for a month already to consider praying. If they haven't prayed yet, there's a whole different conversation we need to ask them. Are you praying? Are you living a life of prayer? At this point, you just say, will you partner with me in this vision? And then they have to decide. I remember one time, I had my French group leader. I talked to my French group leader, and he made it awkward on purpose. So I said, will you partner with me in this vision, what God will do on the earth? And I just looked at him for like 5 seconds. And he deliberately didn't answer, because I was like, he just wanted to see how I'd respond. I'm just like, I'm not going to step down because you didn't say anything. I'm just going to look at you and smile and just be like, yeah, now it's your turn to talk. And so, and at that point, he's like, yeah, I want to partner with you. Just be bold and confident that God has put you in this place right now. And he wants you to be fully funded. He doesn't want you to be poor. He doesn't want you to be scrounging for money. He says, hey, this is a valid occupation. A laborer is worthy of his wages. So that's great. And then you talk about, will you partner with me? They may say yes or no. If they say no, why? Ask them a little more. Is it like a hesitant no, or is it like a no? There's a difference. Hesitant no is maybe in the future. Or I can't do it monthly, but is there anything I could do to partner with you in a more, a special thing? Hey, I need a new computer, I need a new car. You can help those people, keep them in the loop of what's happening, because they love to give, but for specific projects. That's what I like giving, mostly into the projects, seeing what's happening and see it. See, Julia? Bye. What's your name?
Ina.
Ina?
That's my friend from Germany. I just drank her
Oh,
along.
yeah. Good to see you. Appointment, find out why they said no. If they said no, how can they still be engaged and involved, even if they can't give financially? I always ask for prayer requests, and I pray for them. And I write little handwritten letters every 2 months on it, hey, I'm praying for you. Yes?
Do you just say, why are you saying no? How do you
Yeah.
say that?
Well, first of all, they're the one who says, I'm not really sure. I'm like, well, why is that, say that, they usually say I have something going on in my family, or they kind of share some of the situations, or, so usually I just go into, I understand that, or, sometimes say, what is hindering you? What are some things that may be hindering you in this season from partnering with me? And so, hindering, or what are some concerns you have, or stuff like that. You just want to ask it as a question that is least threatening as possible.
Yes.
So for example, say that they're your partner. Now you're their partner, but they skipped a week. You're not gonna be like, hey, why didn't you give? Bad question. Instead, you want to ask, hey, I noticed that I didn't see you on the giving list recently or the last 2 months. I just want to make sure everything's okay with your family. How you doing? Just want to see if something happened, that you maybe you just forgot, or and it's like, oh man, I totally forgot my credit card changed. I had to get a new credit card, so it's totally normal. That happens all the time. But if you make it non-threatening and don't just contact them just when their card changes, you actually want to pray for them and write I write little text messages like, hey, I'm praying for you because of the prayer request you gave me. How's that going? And I write little handwritten letters to them, sharing, hey, this has happened the last 3 months. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, that's your appointment. And then one of the ways that you're going to gain more people is asking for excited friends. So people who you never met before, but they know, who would love to hear about missions and prayer. So the way you ask that question is, I know you know, Aaron, some people who love missions and prayer. They love young people. Who are some people that you know? I'd love to get connected with them. I would love to just share my story and see if we will partner together in this season. And then most of the time they're like, oh, I don't know, I'm not really sure. And then you just throw out ideas. Hey, what about like some people in your family or people at your church? You work in youth ministry, right? Or what are some like parents who love this? You kind of give them ideas to kind of spark their memory, and then once they're started, they won't stop. And this person, like, oh, you gotta like write them all down. I have a sheet of paper normally that I have all my excited friends on.
Another thing I say, I
Yeah.
have 2 other phrases
Go
that
for
I
it,
use
yeah.
for excited friends. One is, if you were in my position, who would you be talking to right now?
That's awesome.
And then the other thing I say is, who do you know that I should know?
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, you need to know this person and this person and this person.
Yeah, they wanna, if they're really excited, they wanna share with you like who these people are. Like, man, they're gonna be so excited, Aaron. They're gonna be so excited just to hear your story. Like, they're gonna be so engaged and they wanna be a part of it. I can already tell. Like, there's gonna be people who they're gonna feel that excited about your vision that they wanna bring other people into it. So those are excited friends makes up around 30% of your partnership team. So if you don't do excited friends, you're not gonna be fully funded. You're gonna be 75%, or you're gonna be 66%. Sorry. Yeah, gotta do math correct. So those are some of the things, and then there's small groups and partnership care. I don't have time to go through those. Those are very important, though. Partnership care is my favorite thing, actually. It's actually the thing that I enjoy the most. It's like, now they're on the team, what do I do with them? I just love them half the time. I just call them, see how they're doing. I had one pastor, I was texting him, he's like, not super engaged in my circle of people. I just kind of knocked on his door, he gives monthly to me. And so I wanted to I emailed him, I prayed for him all the time, and one time I just sent an email in Hong Kong. I was like, hey, I just want to make sure, how do you feel about the partnership team? I want you to stay connected. It's like, to be honest, you're doing a great job. The reason why I don't connect often is because I think you're just doing amazing at it. I never need to contact you because you're always the one that's proactive, and you're always connecting with me. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. I just want you to feel like you're part of the story. It's that's totally what I feel for you. And so, so that's great. Okay, awesome. It's 1 o'clock. I know you guys have stuff to do. Jesus, I just thank you for this group of people. God, I ask that they're precious in your sight. And I ask, God, that they will be fully funded missionaries. God, I thank you that they will be sent to the nations of the earth. And they won't do it with empty pockets. God, I ask that the gold from other people would go into their pockets. I ask that, kind of like what happened in Israel, as the people of Israel were going out and they gave money to them, or they took the wealth of the nation that they were exiting. God, I ask that when they go out and they go to these other countries and train singers and musicians at these intensives, God, I ask that the finances of the righteous, the finances of those who believe in the story would go with them. God, I thank you that so many people than just the people in this room have an opportunity to sow in the mission field. I thank you for hundreds of people that these ones will connect with in order them to be fully funded. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.